Andre, thank you so much for joining us on the show. Why don't you give us an introduction for yourself? Tell us who you are, what you do, and kind of where you've come from.
Sure. Thanks, Ian, for having me. Much appreciated. So my name is Andre Lassiter, and long story short, I am a lover of all things tech, technical, indeed, and business as well, right? So, and where those two intersect is pretty much where I find myself, enjoying and loving life, right? So I'll definitely get into all the the background and all that fun information a little bit later in the call. But just for now, I guess we can summarize it by saying, I love technology. I love implementing it to help people and showing people the way.
Nice. And how did you? Well, I'll tell you what. Before we start with how did you get into it? Talk a bit about your background. Was you kind of working in a 9 to 5, and then you kind of moved into what you do now? Talk a bit about that.
Sure thing. So, definitely, I wasn't always an AI guy, right? I wasn't always an automator. But with that being said, my journey started out primarily in IT. So take you back to 1999, 2000. I was a freshman at NC State University in 1999. My computer broke, didn't have anyone to fix it, didn't necessarily have the money to pay for it to fix it. So I figured it out myself. And that started my journey into IT. Just break fix right at that time. Learning a little bit more about it, learning a little bit about how computers work, coding and the like. Got into the help desk position shortly after graduating from NC State. Rode the ranks, went up to systems administrator from there, and then got into cybersecurity. So all of those shaped what I did, and eventually ended up being the program manager for cybersecurity for SecureWorks. Comcast was our major client at that point. Lots of PCI and all that fun world of keeping the attackers out and mitigating risks. But taking all of that, and then my wife and I bought into a franchise, U-Break iFix, in Wake Forest, North Carolina. So we owned that from 2016, 2017 is when we opened up doors, and we sold in 2023. Have had other ventures as well, a little bit into that, very entrepreneurial, managed service provider. Started that company, which is MS3IT. That's where the roots of that started, being an MSP, which we still do that as well, right? So we can talk about that. But that led into being able to produce our own systems, right? And that's where the automation came in. So we, built our own systems. The franchise does give you systems, but you can improve upon those and make them a little bit better if you know what you're doing. And with regard to automation, this is 2021. Our mentor, Erica Simpson, Boss Up Academy, feel free to check her out. She said, here's this thing called Go High Level. You should check it out, 2021. So got in, checked it out, loved it, started making automations, and the rest was history, right? We fell in love. I just went crazy. Ads, automating things, coming up with different specials, different ways to be more efficient, then spread that to some others in the franchise, then said, hey, other people can use this. And lo and behold, we're here now, right? So combining the power of automation there, as well as other CRMs and other platforms and coding and all that jazz combined with AI. And that's pretty much my journey that led us here. And just combine life experience and wrapping all that up into a bow is what we have.
Nice. And you'll have to forgive me, Andre. I'm not going to get into anything technical. So my background is I was a project manager for a telecoms company. And so I work a lot with engineers and they're talking code and programming all servers and all this kind of stuff. And have you ever seen Matrix? And do you know when it's just green letters and numbers scrolling down the screen? That's what goes through my head when they're talking. I'm just like, can you please just dumb this down for me?
Yes,
the
no,
idiot on the
no.
call.
But that's the layer that it takes, right? So because the masses, like you said, the masses don't speak nerd. So I found myself in the same position. Like I have to take the nerd and translate
I
that to
thought like
regular
I was
English.
putting it a polite way then.
No.
The masses don't speak. What, Andre? What was it that kind of kick-started you into that franchise side of things, and from kind of working on the help desk and all that kind of stuff?
Sure thing, sure thing. So, it's my wife was in sales, and I was in technical as well as project management, all that good stuff, right? So, one of my wife's clients was actually a U-break I fix here in Raleigh, and she called, sold them, cable, internet, all that good stuff, and said, "Hey, maybe this is something could be interested in. You're pretty good at sales, you know." So we went to a discovery day in Florida, Orlando, Florida. Met with Justin, the CEO, at the time founder of U-break I fix, and it was awesome. We got hooked, signed the check, and never looked back. So it was a great journey though, because at that point, I was in startup mode. I had startups previously, smaller operations, but that taught me a lot. First brick and mortar, right? Customers coming in for different things daily, managing a staff that is not a technical staff that, makes six figures a year. All of my employees are making six figures, right? So, you take that and now you're hiring 18-year-olds and 19, 20, 21. The personality is different. The systems have to be different. Everything's different. So yeah, just learning all that fun stuff. And yeah, but I loved every last bit of it. And it did teach me quite a bit. It taught my wife quite a bit. Um, there's a level of grit that you have to have when starting a franchise, and understanding people as well, right? So getting out of that talking nerd section, speaking the language of nerd to speaking the language of the masses and the consumer, giving them what they want and what they need, right? And explaining things in a clear way. So it was very helpful, that experience.
Yeah, I can imagine. I used to frustrate people so much, like the engineers, when I say, "I'm sorry, you're going to have to dumb this down for me." So I imagine it can be quite challenging sometimes to have those conversations with people that don't speak that language that you do as well. So yeah, tip of the cap to you for that. So it sounds then like you've always been quite entrepreneurial anyway. So how would you describe your journey? I know this podcast is all about adventure in multiple senses. So for me, adventure in building a business, but also in getting out in the mountains and all that kind of stuff. Does any of that kind of adventure come into what you do, or is it purely just your journey as a business owner and the entrepreneurial journey that you've been on and the adventure throughout that process that you've had that you kind of can speak on?
For sure, for sure. One of the things that comes to my mind is what are you doing it for? Being entrepreneurial, right? Yeah, like, if you look at the statistics, most businesses fail, right? So you're not always going to win. Everyone has this pie in the sky dream that, yeah, I'm going to, start a business and make tons of money and live happily ever after. It's not always the case. You do your research and you figure out, what the market yields and all that good stuff, and make sure obviously that you're going to make a decent living. But it doesn't always work out. And I've had, those ventures. So now it took me back to thinking about, why did we do this, right? Like purpose over profit. Right. So, I'm a believer in, that God has called us to, and this may ruffle feathers, or I'm not sure where the audience stands and where everyone stands, but just from my perspective, I think that God's called us to spread his purpose and his message through interacting with people, right? So what better way to do that than business? Um, and for me, that's my purpose. Um, we may not necessarily talk about it directly, but something that character wise, what we say, what we do, how we operate, the ethics, all that good stuff goes into everything that we do, and our employees the same, right? So if I'll take, for instance, at the store, if an employee didn't align with our values, it wasn't necessarily the place for them to work, right? Um, so not saying that you have certain beliefs and thoughts, but overall, if it doesn't fit, then it just doesn't fit. No harm, no foul. And I've had employees that it didn't fit with, but we remained somewhat friends, right? Even outside of work, right? We didn't have a working relationship because of things, but they come to me, they ask for guidance, they ask for help in certain things, and vice versa, right? There are things that I can't do that they can do well, so it works out. But yeah, just being purpose driven and all that good stuff. And it's easy to say, everybody has this purpose driven mantra these days, but you find out in your tough times what your real purpose is, and are you purpose driven? Because if you're not making that profit, you're not making tons of money. I'll be upfront and say, you know, starting business and all that was a pay cut for me, right? Because I made decent money in the tech world. And you had to take a step back. So it's like, are we sure we want to do this? Like things changed. Then kids came into the picture. We've got our two babies and all that good stuff. So it can be scary, but fully believing, where we are now, where we're going, all that good stuff. It makes sense. Just looking back, trusting God's plan, and just having that purpose and knowing what the purpose is and sticking to it. Hopefully that answered the question, that I didn't stray too far off. I know I went into a little bit of a rabbit hole there.
No, the rabbit hole you went into is, and you've kind of hit the nail on the head here. That rabbit hole is exactly the kind of conversation. Do you want to take a moment?
Yeah, sure thing. Give me just one moment. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's fine. Don't worry.
I apologize.
It's okay.
Sorry about that. It's
not a problem at all. Not a problem at all. Yeah, so the kind of rabbit hole you went to is exactly, and I'm so glad you kind of said everything you did just then, because this podcast is about inspiring people to be purpose and adventure driven, because the world doesn't need any more kind of random businesses that are set up by people that are just burning themselves out because they're not truly aligned with what it is that they're meant to be doing. So that is a huge focus of this show, is helping people understand that becoming purpose driven is such a huge part of success, from the monetary value, but more success from a personal side as well. So thank you very much for saying that, and that's definitely the kind of rabbit hole we want to be going down on this. So if and also on the point, if you're worried about it being a little controversial, maybe, I kind of don't care.
Love it.
I don't care. People need to be open to hearing different views from my perspective. So if they don't like it, cry me a river.
I'm with you, but I wanted to make sure you were okay with it, right?
So talk to it, because I know from my own personal experience, finding that point where I realized that it was about purpose and finding my purpose to allow me to then be successful. It took me a while to get there. So from the project management, I set up, I tried 5-6 different types of online businesses to do, and each one just fell flat on its face. And it took me ages to figure out that once I've got the purpose, then it kind of, things just start to line up and opportunities start to become available, and my awareness to these opportunities just kind of broadened as well. Was there a moment for yourself when you realized that kind of thing, or was it just something you always had inside that you knew?
Yeah, it's for me, I never, I know initially I had to work for a company and get life skills and experience and all of that, but ultimately I always strive to be an entrepreneur. You know, I wanted the freedom, which, I saw come from that. One of my older cousins, he was an entrepreneur, and I saw, him doing things and being able to go, as he pleased, right? Not necessarily as he pleased, but more control, right? Not necessarily having to put in time off, right? Hey, I need to take, a week off for this. Is it okay? No, you're an entrepreneur. You make that decision. If you need to go, you go. There are things that you have to account for and consider. You have meetings, clients, that sort of thing. Yes, that dictates it, but you do have more flexibility. And I like that side of things. Granted, you'll have a lot of a lot of nights where you're working way more than 40 hours a week, right? Especially in the startup phase and uh yeah, all that good stuff. So, it comes with it, but yeah, just having that freedom was big for me. And I wanted that. I chased it, I craved it. Um and not necessarily for me about, being the boss on the big screen that everybody knows. Right? I'm not necessarily that person. Um, I would rather have the brand speak, and then if you see me speaking, let's say obviously we're on the podcast. If something good comes from it, great. You follow me, and it leads you to something that you need. Awesome, but I don't want to be uh, the carnival barker, the showman necessarily. You connect with me because we genuinely connect or you find value.
I love that, the carnival barker. That just puts it so well. I'll be honest as well. That's the kind of person I just don't connect with. It's just not, because I'm very similar to yourself. The carnival barker. I'm definitely using that one. It just doesn't sit right. And with you saying then as well, we connect and if anything comes of it, then so be it. But if not, then it's fine, right?
Yeah.
Whereas I don't know about yourself, but I'm so sick and tired of people just constantly bombarding me and hassling me, and I'm like, just leave me alone. I'll come to you if I need to.
Yes, yes. So a lot of what we do as well as marketing, right? So we market for our clients, and it attraction marketing is huge to me, right? Like you put it out there, and yes, you have to have your presence on social media. You have to have your presence everywhere on the web, SEO, AEO, or whatever acronym they want to call it these days, right? To be found. But it's I have always said that yes, I'll make the content. One of the groups I'm in says document. Don't try to produce the content. Just document what you do. That's typically enough if you're a true entrepreneur because you're doing valuable tasks. You're doing valuable things. Just document it and show the world, right? If you find out something new, come on social media. Just talk about it. Everybody has a studio, one of these bad boys in their hand. The quality might not necessarily be there to start, but that's okay. It's in the fact that you truly are a master of your craft speaks volumes. And people will start to listen. Maybe it's one or two at the beginning, but then it might grow to 10, 15, 20, 30, 100, 1,000, and so on and so forth. And say all that to say, and I'm preaching to myself because I don't do it often enough, but I don't want to be the one that has to, post 5 times a day and this, that, and that.
No, it's awful, isn't it?
Reach out to 100,000 people every single day.
Yeah, no. I've said this a couple of times.
Yeah.
I've said this a couple of times on the show. The only reason I have social media is to watch people walking in the mountains and people cooking barbecue food. That's
Love it.
That's all I want to do on social media.
Yes. Love it. Love it. Love it.
So just thinking about your kind of journey from the very start when you first get into the franchise side of things and to where you are now. Have you ever had any moments of doubt, kind of uncertainty or fear around what you were doing and whether this was the right decision and the right choice for you and your family, but you kind of pushed on anyway instead of succumbing to that fear and doubt? If succumbing is the right word, I think it is.
Yeah, no. For sure. Yeah, definitely. So when the money changes, it makes you doubt everything. You have a certain baseline and a certain level of life that you're accustomed to. I didn't grow up with a silver spoon with tons of money. So, you know, and not saying that I made tons of money. I'm very blessed, was able to do some things and have a good life. But yeah, it made you, well, it made me think like, oh, you start to consider, is like you said, is this the right move for me? Is this the right move for the family? Is this the right move? Uh, what's going to happen if I lose, go from here to here, right? Like, what are people going to think? What uh, everything under the sun. But then you come back to it and say, hey, look, for me, I'm a believer in setting the deadline. If it doesn't work by this time, I have to look at plan B. But I'm going to do everything in my power to make it work. And, you know, God does the rest. You do the natural, he'll do the supernatural, including connecting you with, the right clients, the right partners, the right network. Sometimes you don't even know why you're going somewhere, or you think, hey, this is stupid. Why am I going here? This is a little piddly peddly event that no one's going to be at. And then you meet the connection that potentially changes your life. I've experienced it. I know others that have heard the stories as well. And yeah, it's that doubt is normal. That being scared is normal. And also I'll talk about, for me, I'm pretty confident in a lot of things. Sometimes I don't outwardly portray my confidence as much as I should, but I'm pretty confident in a lot of things that we do. But sometimes being overconfident, I've seen people be overconfident and lead themselves to destruction as well. So even if it seems like a sure thing, count the cost, right? Understand what you're really getting yourself into. Do that deep research. Heck, we've got AI now. Utilize the AI, have conversations with it. Get the full understanding, get the caveats. You can prompt your AI to be a pessimist, get the other side of the owl, right? And get the pessimistic thoughts, because you're going to need to hear those too.
Yep.
And figure it out. Just put the time in, because what was it? Nothing's ever as good as it seems. Nothing's ever as bad as it seems. So just understanding that and figuring it out.
Nice. And I don't know about you, but when I first started going, so I don't know anybody else when I first started out who was running their own business apart from the people that I was working for. And my partner definitely doesn't understand what you go through when you're setting up a new business and etc. And I started going to events like networking events and that kind of thing. And she turned around to me once and said, "Are you in a cult?" which kind of, I suppose, goes to show how alien it can be to some people when all you're doing is going to a conference and networking event. But also, for me, it highlights how important it is to be around other people who are going through something similar to yourself. And you mentioned that was it. You started setting things up with your partner. Like as you probably imagine, my partner just doesn't get it, but she's like, I don't care as long as you pay the bills.
Right.
which is quite nice. I quite like the independence of that.
Yes.
So I was kind of intrigued and interested in how that kind of works with your partner. If you're willing to talk about, that, obviously.
100%. Oh, she's very entrepreneurial as well. Her dad. So I'll give you her backstory. Her grandfather owned several businesses, right? And being Black in America in the 1940s and owning stores, I think laundry and a few other things, it was in her blood. And then her father grew up seeing that early on before his dad passed, and he was entrepreneurial. So he ended up starting a food truck, right? And that food truck taught her, because she had to, as a kid, she was counting money, right? She was seeing how business operated, how he would go out to different construction sites and hustle, like he, not a bad hustle like hustle culture is today, but just going out, making relationships, right? Talking to people, getting the business, providing a product that they needed, understanding the need and where they're going to be, and making that evolve, right? Until he couldn't anymore. And it afforded them a good life, right? And her mom is a teacher. So stability there, the business, it does this up, down, all over the place, sideways, so having those two forces, right? She was able to see that. And, she's a salesperson and she's very entrepreneurial. So she's all about it. And very supportive as well. Not necessarily the tech person, but if she understands it, she'll sell water to a well. So she can break it down and explain it to whoever,
Me.
Yeah, no.
Thanks for being so polite about
that. Look, it's like me and calculus. It doesn't get along. We don't we don't speak the same language.
So it's kind of like just a natural kind of fit then, really, by the sounds of it.
For sure, definitely.
Excellent. What's one, if you were to look back across your whole kind of entrepreneurial journey, what's kind of one unforgettable experience that you've had, good or bad?
The bad always sticks out in your mind, right? It's so I'll say the bad, honestly, is being a little bit too early to the AI party, right?
Okay.
Being, initially, I've known about AI and all that good stuff from the past, and RPA, start to get into those acronyms and all that good stuff, but robotic processing and, but it was too early for the masses to grab until ChatGPT came along and changed the game. So even when that came along and people were just finding out the power and starting to use it as, to help them with emails or, small use cases, great, all well and good. And I'm like, hey, we've got this voice AI system that can, answer your calls and book appointments for you on your calendar and reach out to your dead leads and, follow up, all this good stuff. And we can do it through text messaging. We can do it on your website. And everybody's like, yeah, that's cool. How much does it cost? And it was great, but it didn't fit the market at the time. Now everyone wants it. Everyone's craving for it. Everyone has to have, the chat assistants, the voice AI, different AI agents to do things. We've been doing that. Yeah, great. But yeah, that was painful and that was tough. In addition to that, learning that, some of that is seen as overhead, right? And until it becomes the buzzword or it becomes mainstream and everyone knows about it. So, not necessarily at that time understanding that, businesses, especially small businesses, they operate off of needing leads. They need clients to keep the doors open. So figuring that piece out and understanding how to generate leads for businesses. Now, we've got the technology that we know who's searching for key terms in a specific area or nationwide, and we can have that entire database, even if you didn't come to our site, um, you know, because you're searching on these various avenues. We can get your phone number, your email, your address, your credit score, send you direct mail, all kinds of creative campaigns to get our clients.
So
um,
scary.
right, right. Even let's say you hit the website. I'll give you this example. If you hit certain websites that are our clients, um, you've heard of or familiar with Facebook pixels.
Yes. Yeah.
Gotcha. So once you see visit a site, you start to see those sites over and over again on your Facebook, Instagram, all that. We operate in that realm, and we also have something that's a little bit more advanced where you don't have to necessarily fill out a form. You can just land on the site, and we'll know it, and we can start to email you. you know, this is very helpful. In a lot of cases. Whereas you've got uh, someone that's trying to make a purchasing decision, but they don't want to be hassled, right? Like you just said, like, please don't hassle me. You know, yes, I'm here. I'm looking. Don't ask me 5 million questions and call me 5 times a day because, I filled out a form. Please don't. This is annoying. I'm going to D&D you and we're not going to talk. We're not going to do business. But, with our clients, we help them draft a strategy that gently pushes buyers towards you, right? So you can gently get them in your ecosystem. So if you looked up a chainsaw the other week because yours, was on the fritz and you're thinking about it, instead of, sending you 5 emails about, hey, chainsaw, 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 we might send you one email. Uh, here in the US, there are certain laws that you can't just pick up the phone and call consumers, TCPA and all that good stuff. And European Europe has laws as well. Right. So, navigating around those and coming up with strategies so that it's effective, but you're not bombarding people, has been a big winner for us. And sorry, I just veered off into another subject completely. But
It's okay. It's okay. You answered it at the start of that at the start of that monologue.
It kind of flowed there for me. I'm sorry about that, but yeah, man,
It's okay. Just thinking about one kind of tool that you've relied on, not physical tool, but an inner tool that you've relied on throughout your journey. What would you say that is?
An inner tool is blocking out the noise.
Mm.
Blocking out the noise from, this isn't going to work, to, hey, things aren't looking exactly how you envision them to be. Yes, you have to have a certain level of reality, but you also have to block out the self-doubt, the talks that, this is not going to work, because where your energy flows, that's how you're going to operate. And if you're believing it, you're going to operate that way, and it's going to show. Your clients are going to know, your potential clients are going to know, you're going to know, and it just radiates. So I say blocking out the noise for me is an effective tool.
Nice.
Yes, indeed.
Nice. And just kind of coming to wrap things up, I'm starting to, after conversations with people, I'm starting to feel like, oh, I should have asked them this. I should have asked them this. And as we've been talking, one's kind of come to mind, which is, what's one piece of advice you'd give someone who's standing at the start of their own kind of entrepreneurial adventure, but they're really unsure if they should take that first step in because they're not sure what direction it can go, what failures they might have and what successes they might have. in whatever that entrepreneurial adventure looks like for them. What's that one piece of advice you could give someone, do you think?
I would say get a mentor, right? So that has been extremely valuable in our journey, in my journey. Like I said, Erica, hands down, invaluable. Um, all mentors are not created equal. I'll say that. Right. So you want to do your due diligence, do your research, and typically you have to pay for guidance, right? You have to pay to play. You have to pay to get into certain rooms. Yeah, it may happen organically for some, but others, for the most part, you got to pay to play. And it's very worth it. The big box mentors, yes, they have programs. Yes, you can take courses, but you have to also know your style. If you're not going to be disciplined to buy this $97 course, follow it through, and then truly seek the guidance, but you have the means to pay someone that's going to hold you accountable, hold your hand, make sure you're getting practical and applicational knowledge and actually doing it, that hands down is an accelerator to me. You can figure it out on your own. Sure. Some people can, but the masses can't. Which is the reason for the mentors, right? Learn from their pain, learn from their good times, learn from their bad times, learn, all that you can, absorb it, but also just put it into practice as soon as possible, because you're going to fail. You're going to have those bad times, those bad things. You're going to say the wrong thing. You're going to screw up and, send something you shouldn't have sent, or, do something you shouldn't have done. It happens, right? It's part of business. It's part of life. Nothing's perfect. So just get out there, get that mentor, get the understanding, and do.
Nice. That brings to mind something I've heard from, I don't know who it was actually. I don't know. From somebody. Where they said something along the lines of, show me your kind of 5 closest friends and I'll show you the rest of your life. And it's about making sure that you're in a circle of people who are where you want to be, or are along that journey with you. So I can't recommend that enough, and echo what you've just said. So thank you for that, Andre. This has been a great conversation. So why not tell people finally what you've got going on now? If there's anything you want to let the audience know about, and then how can people get in touch with you?
Sure thing. So these days, what we're doing is primarily AI, automation, and all that good stuff. But to take that out of nerd language and to put it in plain English.
Thank you.
So what we do is a few things. We've got a few different main product offers, and they all focus on getting getting business owners, clients, putting the systems in place so that they can actually make money when those clients come through the door, with automations to reach back out, retarget, make sure appointments are booked, and, get those reviews up. So, we can definitely do that for our clients at ms3it.com. You can reach me, Andre, ANDRE .ms3, the number 3, it.com. Feel free to book 15 minutes with me, reach out on LinkedIn. All my information's there. And, love to hear from you.
Amazing. And we'll add all the links to the show notes for everybody as well. So, Andre, thank you so much for coming on. It's been an absolute blast. And you managed to dumb things down for me very well. I'm not that bad.
No, not at all. Not at all. I can tell you.
Thanks for coming on, Andre. I appreciate it.
Indeed. Thank you so much.
Have you ever felt like business should be more than numbers and deadlines? Like there's an entire world to explore beyond your office walls? Is adventure calling your name? I'm Ian Whitehead, and I'm your guide on Uncharted, the Entrepreneur's Adventure Podcast, where I bring you real stories from visionary leaders who've built empires and climbed literal mountains. Because success isn't just about the bottom line, it's about the thrill of taking risks, the courage to pursue what truly lights you up, and the freedom to chart your own course. Each week we'll dive deep into the minds of boundary-pushing entrepreneurs and adventurers, revealing how they found purpose in the chaos and discovered their true north, both in business and beyond. So, if
If you're ready to break free from the ordinary, embrace bold action and inject a little more adventure into your life, welcome to Uncharted. Your journey starts here.